What's up, Phobiacs? So today I'm going to be doing this really sketchy, creepy, Vengeful Scarecrow look. And as you can see right here, I'm just going to be sewing up the mask that I'm going to be using. And all I did here is just take some burlap fabric I bought at Walmart. It's just a big, yard, it's like 5 yards of it. And I just cut a big chunk of that off and folded it in half. And I sewed up the sides. And once I did that, I just turned it inside out and I put it on my head and kind of measured where one of my eyes was and my mouth, so that I could cut holes because I'm going to be doing a look on my eye and on my mouth to go under this. And right here, I'm just blocking out my eyebrows using a glue stick and some powder. Nothing too serious because I'm not going to be really even hitting my eyebrow too much. I'm going to be going around it. But after I did that, I'm going in with some toilet paper and liquid latex and just sticking that around my face. And I'm blow drying it because I'm too impatient. But I think I did about 3 or 4 layers of this just to build up a really thick kind of layer that I could eventually sew into, because I am going to have to sew into that. And I'm going in right here and doing the same thing on my mouth and just building up my smile line using liquid latex and toilet paper. And again, I'm using a blow dryer because I'm too impatient to wait for it to dry because it takes forever. And as you can kind of see, I'm going closer into my eye with the more layers that I make on my eye. And the reason for that is just because I really want it to look like this is my skin flapping open. And the skin on the inside of that is ripped off. And I'm just really wanting it to look gross and like flappy skin whenever I'm done with this. And as you can see, I'm now going over my mouth with the toilet paper and latex. And I'm kind of building up that entire smile like it's going to be a completely fake smile. And here I'm just going into my actual eye and making it look decayed and adding dimension for the blood that I'm going to be adding in later. And as you can see in there, I did add some toilet paper and latex in there and just kind of balled it up to give it more texture. I really want this to look like my skin was ripped off, and I'm trying to really get those colorings right just to give that effect. And as you'll see, I'm kind of trying to go on the flaps on the inside some, and I'm going to be going around on the outside too. But you don't have to be as serious on the outside of that as you do on the inside, because the burlap is going to be covering up most of that. So that's just a lot of what this is going in and trying to make the colorings right and just making it look like my skin's decayed. And now, as you can see, I'm going around on my face and kind of doing the same thing, just dirtying it up, kind of making it look gross. And just like my skin is rotting and decaying, because you are going to be able to see a little bit of my skin through the burlap, not too seriously. But if you can see some of my skin, I want it to look like that skin is just very decayed and rotted and old. And here I'm just going into the actual flap now on the outside of my eye and just really building up that color, mostly just to cover up that white. I really don't want any of that white showing through because it is going to be very stark inside of that burlap if any of that white is visible. And as you can see, I kind of just gave up on the brush because I wasn't getting the effect that I wanted on the brush, so I just went in with my finger. And right here, I'm just cutting open that mouth that I made and really separating that and going in and adding some black in there. The goal for my mouth was really just to make it look as decayed and rotted as the eye, because again, whenever I add that burlap on, I want to be able to see my mouth just looking gross and decayed and rotted there and like it's been ripped open. And now we get to my favorite part, the funnest part of any gross, gory special effects look, and that is adding in the blood. I just used some old scab blood that I had. This is really bad quality scab blood, and it took a lot of work to really make this look realistic. But I'm just going in and adding that in and adding it into my mouth and really just kind of smearing that around and making it look gross. And now after you've done that, you just put your mask on and go ahead and start sewing where you made those holes before. As you can see, my holes decided that they were just going to rip open and not work at all. So I just decided to go with it and work with what I had rather than starting over and remaking that sack. I had a really hard time with this sack. I'm not a big time sewer at all, but I just kind of did what I could. A lot of times with special effects, it actually ends up looking better whenever you go in and work with what you have rather than trying to make everything perfect. So as you can see, I just kind of added in patches here and there and kind of try to cover up that spot where it wasn't supposed to rip, and just putting a lot of like random bad stitching around because I didn't want this to look like someone who knew what they were doing when they were making this mask. And as you can see, I'm now just kind of adding in some more black paint and some blood periodically to kind of blend that mask in with the look that I did under the mask. And right here, I'm going to be sewing a button to the other eye part. And I really should have done this before I put the mask on my face because I almost stabbed my eyeball out doing this. So if you decide to recreate this look, please sew that on beforehand. And now I'm just really adding in more blood, tucking that mask into my shirt, and we are done. I just realized that my nostrils are different sizes. Do you see that? What is going on with my head? I lick blood.
Helps keep your dog safe all year long. Test dogs for infection or use in rare cases, digestive and neurological side effects. For more,
Ouch! Oh! There's a safety pin stuck in my hair! Get it out! Oh my gosh! Oh my god, what have we done? Kelly, we're about to go eat and I've got blood in my hair.